All right, so we're hopping into a PowerPoint presentation about leadership, and it's going to be a comprehensive project from one of the final classes I'm taking in my undergraduate degree at Florida Gulf Coast University. My name is Michael McGovern, and I am finishing my degree in athletic training. So this project is going to be centered around leadership, and it's going to be especially applicable to those who are entering the profession as an athletic trainer. And as we begin, we're going to have a little bit of an overview here, and we're going to use this slide as our roadmap to where we are going and what the rest of this presentation will entail. We will be looking at these points here. We're going to be looking at something called the Personality Plus, and the Personality Plus is a test designed for people to take. It's a pretty subjective test that takes subjective results and tries to objectify it to place people into specific personality groupings. So within the Personality Plus, there's going to be 4 groupings. There'll be 2 that will put you on the extroverted side of things and 2 that will put you on the introverted side of things. But your number 1 and number 2 highest accumulated scores will work to show you where you fall, and it's extremely beneficial to understand where you are as a person and what your personality might entail as trying to move forward as a leader. And then you have tribal leadership, which has been created by a couple doctors. They've written books about it even, and there is a TED Talk about it. Tribal leadership talks about groups of people, tribes, and how tribes normally will center themselves in the same position, that they will focus on the same things and be motivated by the same things, and it talks about how you can move a tribe of people, maybe your coworkers, maybe your family, whatever tribe that might be that you're involved in, and how you can move that from kind of being a mediocre tribe, a tribe that doesn't have very good culture of success, and moving that to a tribe that is more motivated and more successful. Moving on, you see extreme ownership. There is a great TED Talk on that as well that you can find. And pretty much extreme ownership is not making excuses and really claiming everything in your life as your responsibility, and being honest with yourself and being honest with others. Learning to be uncomfortable. Once again, I'm just going to keep going about it, but yeah, there's another TED Talk on learning to be uncomfortable and uncomfortable situations, and how they are used within life, how they can be used within your life to move you into greater understanding, how they can move you into a better position, how it can move you into growth. That is the ultimate thing there, is how being uncomfortable can only allow you to grow in many different areas. And then you have Admiral McRaven's speech, and this is a speech that was given, once again, you can find it online, by an admiral in the Navy, and he gave a commencement speech at the University of Texas, and he outlines, he walks you through the things that he learned through Navy SEAL training, and gives about 10 different principles to live your life by if you are interested in influencing and changing others, specifically at your workplace or just others in general. Hop into this slide together. I provided one of my favorite quotes on the right there, talking about knowledge is not power. The correct application of knowledge is power. So in this slide in particular, we are going to try to correctly apply all these different pieces of knowledge that has been received through the Personality Plus, tribal leadership, extreme ownership, learning to be uncomfortable, and Admiral McRaven's speech. And as they're listed in this slide, they are listed kind of in order from top to bottom. But as I have worked through these concepts more and more in my head, and I hope that you begin to see it more and more as well as I work through these concepts with you and talk about how each is beneficial in their own way in leadership. They actually all can draw and relate to each other more in a cyclical fashion. Not just one is separated from the other, but they all overlap each other in one way or another and all kind of share different pieces of a much larger puzzle. So if you could imagine these not in a list vertically from top to bottom as you move from one to the next in sequential order, but if you could think of them more in a cyclical relationship, then this could be a lot easier. But as I move through these, I hope that you get to see that more and more. But we'll start with the personality plus profile. And personality plus profile, like I said, you answer a bunch of questions. It tells you what personalities you encompass or relate to the most, and it gives you strengths and weaknesses. It gives you how you relate to others, how you work with others. You know, the things that maybe you're not so keen on, and this is extremely beneficial. I can think of my man Mahatma Gandhi saying, you know, be the change in the world that you want to see. So I think that self-education, educating yourself on who you are, is extremely important before you can go out and begin to affect and begin to change others. You must understand yourself. You must know your faults. You must know how you interact with others. So when you have certain feelings and you have certain emotions, it is helpful to understand why you're having those emotions. And I believe that educating yourself about your own personality is going to help you make the connections in your day-to-day life of, okay, this is where I fall short. I know I fall short, so this is why I feel this way, so on and so forth. And then once you understand yourself and are able to begin to affect others, then it's important to look outside yourself, maybe to the rest of your tribe. So you begin to look at tribal leadership. You begin to see the culture that has been established within your tribe. For example, let's just talk about your workplace. So you see the culture that's been established within your tribe. You begin to not only understand yourself, but you begin to understand others within your tribe. You begin to analyze where, as a whole, your tribe is. And then from there, you can move forward and begin to change the culture and change the rest of your tribe only when you begin to understand yourself first. So tribal leadership is extremely important because and beneficial because it gives you an idea of analyzing where your tribe currently is. And it gives you an idea of potentially what the best tribe environment can look like. So when it lists out all the different levels in the tribal leadership example that's given, it'll give you an idea of how to take your office or your tribe to that level. And within that of affecting others, you're going to want to embrace things like extreme ownership. So I put down no excuses. So as you begin to lead within your tribe, once you've already kind of understood who you are, that is granted that you understand that you have flaws. Those flaws are going to come out as you interact with people, as you do things within your tribe. Those flaws are going to show themselves. Mistakes are going to happen. And that is when you need to step up and take extreme ownership. You need to step up and own all of your mistakes throughout the entire process and know that those mistakes are expected. And as you begin to own your mistakes, that is hopefully going to change the culture with you that you are in for other people to accept their own mistakes. And as mistakes become more acceptable within a workplace, they begin to elevate how other people will work and own up to what they are doing. And then as you learn to be uncomfortable, as you I put down there growth, being uncomfortable, being put in uncomfortable situations, as potentially owning up to your mistakes, will ultimately help you grow. And in Admiral McRaven's speech, I put a few things down there that are applicable to, if you just go back to the top there, once you understand yourself, you understand where your tribe is, you begin to grow your tribe by taking extreme ownership, and then you learn to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, and you continue to grow. Then you can affect other people by embracing what Admiral McRaven said, by not ever quitting. You're going to have to ask others for help. It doesn't matter how hard you try, failure will happen, and failures will make you stronger. And there at the bottom there, failures will make you stronger, falls into that learning to be uncomfortable. So when you're uncomfortable and you failed, the only thing that can come from that, if you take extreme ownership of it, is growth. So even within this entire process, you can see that all of these little pieces of each part are interchangeable and kind of work together to create a whole. But the main thing is understanding yourself helps you to affect others within your tribe, and hopefully raise your tribe, your tribal level, to higher and higher places. So the logical question that follows from all this talk of leadership and affecting others is, who are leaders and where are leaders? So where are leaders? People imagine that leaders are only in positions of power. They are only in appointed positions of leadership. So here you have George Washington, the first president of the United States, of course appointed to a position of power. But George Washington himself would probably say that there are many other people who were not in his position as president of the United States who were leaders within our new country. And as many people are not able to be in the 1 or 2 or 3 appointed positions of power within their organization or company, there are still leaders. And the leaders are not defined by their position, but they are defined by other things. For example, they lead by example. They affect others, and they affect others and lead by example because, number one, as we talked about before, they embrace themselves. They are self-aware. They know about themselves. They embrace their tribe because they are self-aware of themselves, so they are able to embrace others. And because they embrace others, they are able to lead by, number one, making no excuses, and number two, being okay with being uncomfortable and being able to grow. And when their growth is seen, when they are seen to have made no excuses, they will affect others that are around them. So this is the million-dollar question. How do you lead as an entry-level athletic trainer as you enter your environment? How will I lead as I address this to myself even as I enter the profession here very soon? How do I lead even though I very well will not be the head of the Department of Sports Medicine, will not be the head athletic trainer unless I'm at a high school? How will I lead as I am not in an appointed position of power? So of course there are things I pull away from Admiral McRaven's speech, that mistakes will happen and it is important to move on from those. And no one, I would say very few people have unrealistic expectations of others. No one typically holds others to a expectation of perfection, and others will not, at least I would hope, not hold me to a expectation of perfection. They expect mistakes from me no matter where I'm from, but it does matter that I accept the fact that mistakes will happen, do not beat myself up over them, and move on with a good attitude. The little things in life matter. So for example, when you're in the profession, knowing people's names, remembering things about people when you talk to them, interpersonal skills will be huge as far as being a leader and understanding those around you. affect others by knowing yourself, that leads into when you're able to understand yourself, when I'm able to understand myself, my flaws, the things that I'm good at, things I'm not so good at, then I will be able to apply those to my workplace. I'll be able to apply those to the people I interact with, and maybe be more gracious and merciful with others when they make mistakes, knowing that I'm also flawed, for example. And don't ever quit. As being in the work environment, the failures will happen. Move on and don't quit. And Admiral McRaven also said, one person can change the world by giving it hope. So as myself being in the workplace, it comes down to the right attitude, as I've mentioned a few times already in this slide, not being pessimistic but being optimistic, and that optimism will go a long way as far as changing the environment with which you are in. But it can only come from a place of when you understand yourself and you're satisfied, and you can find hope from your own satisfaction from where you're at. Can you then give it to others in optimism? So that is going to conclude the presentation for today on leadership, and I appreciate you bearing with me, going a little bit over 15 minutes here. So thank you for the attention and viewing this, and I wish you the best of luck as you become a leader.